Welcome to episode number 215 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We're recording on September 17th, 2023. My name is Eric, host of the show based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, not sandwich again, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, and I read all that already. You screwed me up, Ian. Thanks a lot. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, started a small preparedness company to help get people better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer. There we go.
That's pretty awesome. My name is Ian. I'm a homesteader on Vancouver Island, and clearly I have no idea how to work OPSEC.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
My name is Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner. Pretty cool guy to drink with. I make t-shirts and stuff that look cool. And I'm a government critique.
No, you're not. You just hate them.
That's why I critique them.
I'm Terry. I live in sunny Central Ontario. And I'm a starving indie author, a pathetic fisherman, a fair-to-mediocre camper, and not a very good hunter. Despite all this, the good folks at the annual Prepper meet asked me to be their spokesperson, so here I am.
Well, if you could do all those things and be terrible at them, you could probably sell ice to an Eskimo.
I should work for the government or something.
Hey?
No, because you see, you're qualified for the job, so you can't work for the government.
None of it is useful. You're hired.
Oh boy.
And if you want to help support the show, you can embrace consumerism and buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the Tactical Velcro patch at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep the lights on, the backup generator fueled, and help cover some of our costs.
Terry. We're off to an awesome start today.
I'll get it.
Sorry, there's something that I missed.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and submit a review on iTunes or wherever you may have found us. We seriously want your feedback, good or bad. Even if it's just a topic you want us to cover or something you learned this week. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
Look at this. This new kid Ian shows up and we just get all marbles in our mouth, can't talk, can't follow the notes or anything.
I almost think you're impressed by my presence.
Ian's name beside it.
I'm just starstruck because Ian's back, that's all.
That's what it is.
We've got some transmittable content for you in this episode. We're going to start off with some relevant news articles, let you know what we've done for our personal preps since the last episode. And we're going to get into the main topic. We're going to talk about COVID 2.0 and kind of revisit and kind of figure out what we may have done differently. So into the news.
All right, so there's a disease running around India called Nipah. And CNN article here says they've basically had a grand total of 2 deaths, which sounds like a bad car crash. Honestly, it could be a slow, long weekend, really. But
Not
they're
wrong.
making a big hullabaloo over the potentials on this one, and so they've locked a bunch of stuff down already. So the reason I included the article is basically because they've gone from 0 to 100 over 2 deaths. So you can imagine if it actually was worse than that, how much reaction they're going to have as a general rule, and if a major economic power like India is going to do that, who knows what they're going to do here, right? So just thought I'd throw that article in there. And then, of course, on that same train of thought, be super scared. The BA.286 variant for COVID is out. So, of course, immediately we've had a deluge of news articles and reminders to get boosters and, hospitalization counts are coming back up and everything else. So the BA is jumping on this one again as well. So, whatever your thoughts are towards it, I mean, it's in the news.
Yeah, it's back again. It is the season, right?
Reading this article, though, we should have really put the new show title as COVID 2.86 instead of 2.0.
Oh,
Fair.
well played. Where were you when we were discussing the topic?
Yeah, right, they got a new thing, and I'm like, I was like, we were off by like less than 1.
Well, I would say that's what will be fixed in the iTunes podcast title.
Stand by. Doing it now.
All right.
Yeah.
I like the share song title that I used originally for the episode, but okay.
Yeah.
Or not. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, you got a news article?
Yeah. So anybody who's out in the Maritimes knows Hurricane Lee made landfall in the Maritimes. I've linked in a CBC News article there. I'll discuss it a bit more in length on my weather blurb, but yeah, it was fairly significant, but no deaths, no serious injuries. So that's good on that part.
So hopefully that means most of the people that have already listened to this podcast knew it was coming, and then all the neighbors that knocked onto their house door or whatever was left, just tell them that they should start listening. We get more viewers, and then we get more gooder stuff out to the gooder people.
It's very gooder.
Did you just say more gooder?
Yes,
gooder
very
idea.
gooder. All the gooder, more better stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into what we've done lately for preps.
Oh, that's me again. I might as well. I'm on a roll. I might as well just keep going. So I picked up the new to me generator this week. I was able to get it running for a bit using some quick start in that, but it clearly wouldn't stay running. Obviously, the guy said he hadn't run it for 2 years, so it's got crappy gas and carburetor's probably all clogged up. So I will try to get to that this week if I can. Give it a good carb cleaning, drain the tank, get some fresh fuel in it, and go from there.
Very nice. For myself, started the oil change routine on all the motors around here. So I talked about that last episode where I was getting kind of ready and getting everything lined up. I actually started doing it. So got the generator all switched over and the oil filter done, and checked the air filter on it and the plugs and everything. So she's all ready to go for the winter, and I'm just going to keep on that routine. Got the truck, some pretty big maintenance done on that. The AC system decided to leak on my truck, and it's been an issue for quite a while. So finally brought that in to get it fixed up. It's the primary bug out machine. So it was due for some maintenance, but that kind of hit the pocketbook a little hard. So that sucked. And then just fuel rotation. So getting ready to do all the winter stuff. So get all the winter machines ready to rock and roll, and rotating the fuel out for storage for the winter season, because old man winter is coming real quick.
All right. So after 9 months, basically, as an absentee prepper father, so to speak, the to-do list is like yay big, and I've covered them off with the yay big. So, yeah, here we go. So I had to do a bunch of fuel rotation because a lot had been sitting for basically 6 months, but it still was good. It turns out the stable was fine after a good at least 6 months in the tank. So that's good. Stable works, turns out. Had to do some feed top ups. So all the chicken feed, alpaca pellets, everything else all had to be changed or topped up, because I basically had filled up all the garbage cans. I think I had one chance to top it up when I was gone, but basically, yeah, so I had to go on a big feed run. Which tells me I have a good 6 months supply anyway. Training the new dogs. We had a rescue dog come into our life, and another tiny one, but a very doggy dog, and working on recall, potty training, everything else. We had a mystery animal come running through the bush behind the house today, and she came back when called, which was good. So that's always a work in progress.
That's a good one. That's a good sign.
Yeah, but so she's definitely a good fit with the herd, so to speak. Let's see here, working on my fitness recovery while I was on the road and eating nothing but fast food for 8 months. Guess what happened?
Nothing bad. Nothing bad.
No, I didn't like I put on 20 pounds or anything. But anyway, so yeah, so I've been having to work on that, and I didn't exercise nearly as much as I should have. So I've got a big road to recovery that I have to start down now, and work on that. Yeah, I had to do some wood refinishing before the rain hits. Obviously, when the high humidity happens, you can't do a lot of staining, painting, whatever. So I've had a bunch of stuff around the acreage I need to take care of. Everything from antique skis to wheelbarrow handles to whatever. Before rainy season hits in about another 2 weeks, I've got to do a bunch. So I've been trying to carry off a bit with that. Anyway, we're back to planning the sauna. So the outdoor off-grid sauna that we're going to do on the back 40 there, we're going to we've got the place cleared out, but that's as far as I got last year. So this year we're going to start marking stuff out where we're going to put everything. We're planning like a sauna deck, kind of cold plunge area, the whole works.
Fancy.
Yeah, we're going to get all fancy, and so we're going to have to lay that kind of L-shaped setup out there, and see how that goes. It's going to be on top of a cliff, which is kind of cool. So see here, so I had to do a Jenny charging and test run. So I had to recharge the battery, which had gone flat checked the oil, all the standard stuff with small engine stuff. But they gave it a good run because it hadn't really run for about 4 or 5 months.
That's sad.
Yeah, it was very sad. Well, I mean, it's good. There's no power outages. Bad that
Yeah.
I kind of ignored it for that long. That I'm sure if the wife had gone out there, she would have had to pull start it. She would have been less than amused with me. So,
Fair enough.
yeah. So then I had a bunch of wood that I had split some large rounds. I think I talked about that on the podcast. That I got a good deal on some big, 2-foot wide rounds or whatever. I split them and left them down in a kind of a shady, wet spot in the property, and I had to run them back up to the sunniest, kind of driest side of the property. So had to run all that up. There's about 3 cords up the hill. Thank goodness for the quad. So that'll be good for next spring. Let's see here. Got a new alternative location in Vancouver now, so I had to inventory what I had there, restock that. We actually did an inventory of part of the pantry at home here, just because we had some stuff we had to rotate out. All my radios were programmed for Toronto, so I had to reprogram those for the Vancouver area. All the little UV5Rs and everything else had all the repeaters for Mississauga and stuff on them, so I had to do some of that. And the daughter asked me how to use the radio in case of emergency, which is like, I'll get back to you on that. So I had to set up a big instruction manual for her, so that's next week's project. I'm going to write out a big how-to manual so she can bounce something off a repeater in Vancouver and reach me here if required. So that'd be kind of cool.
How to: step 1, study for ham license. Step 2, obtain ham license.
Well, that would be the ideal, but it's a
Step
teenager.
3, open pocketbook.
Yeah, it's a teenager thing and all that stuff. I don't think it's going to happen. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so let's see here. Winterizing some engines, a little bit of driveway repair. So I had some big divots in the driveway, so I got a big asphalt repair kit because before the rain hits and everything else, so I was to get the repair done, and so it doesn't erode anymore. And so I did a couple big driveway patch repairs with kind of like instant set asphalt. It's kind of weird. You just put it in there, tamp it down, and pour water on it, and it goes solid. Which is kind of cool. Covered up the wood piles today, and then I made a mistake. I ran into a friend of mine. She actually is an avid hunter and fisher person, and she reminded me that I really didn't have my hunting licenses yet. And today, the wife and I were talking. We're like, "Yeah, it's time to do that." So I went to go get my hunting license today, and I realized that I guess my accreditation that proves I'm a resident is out of date, so I had to redo that. So my hunting license will have to wait a week. And then I just had to throw in the car for some repairs after that big road trip from Ontario because the front rotors went on it after all the braking, heavy duty braking, I guess. I don't know what it was, but so I had
crazy driver.
Yeah, I had to repair the car after I got back, and I think that's it. I don't know.
Well, that's record time. That's record time for you.
Considering it's been so long, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
Figured I'd mention Steve in the live chat here saying this new Ian guy seems all right, likes to talk, which is good for a podcast.
There you go. Even though, actually, I hope they're back at their place. I hope
so,
they worked out okay. Yeah. So.
But I'm also curious on if Kyle is accurate about how many CGN deals.
Oh,
true.
Fun fact: when you're in Toronto, you have access to a much larger market. And so I was able to do a lot of face-to-face meets with those. So yes, I did get the odd deal done. There was a few. Put it that way.
Fair enough.
Okay. But the problem
is Kyle over or under for guessing? He's like 37.
He's over. I won't say by how much, but I'm just saying.
I'd rather not say.
Fair
yeah.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Plead the fifth.
The problem is they're all tracked now, anyways. So you get at least license checks are tracked. So.
Terry.
Anyway.
Oh, me? Well, after listening to Ian, I've had a pretty dull life. Still working on some generator tune-ups and getting ready for winter. But this weekend just passed, I went camping. So some gear got a bit of a workout, and including the chainsaw. So that's good. So that's a few things off my list. That's it for me.
Very good. We've got Denny in the live chat just letting us know about the Emergency Prep Expo and the fact that it was small but very informative. So that's good. Oh, whose mic is making all the noise there?
I don't know.
We're just muting a few people here. So thanks for the update there, Denny. It's if you want to fill us in on a few things that you came across or a few things that you learned, we'd appreciate some feedback on what you picked up on there.
Where was it?
Remember where he said it was? It's in the States somewhere. I know that much.
Okay, but no, like just good to know because I was like,
it's in northern Michigan. I can't remember the exact name of the town.
Okay.
It's something
Right.
northern part of Michigan.
All right. Yeah. So I haven't been on in a little while. Had some stuff going on outside of regular stuff, and just said I still chatted with the peoples on the panel list, but not so much with the listeners. But so actually, as of Friday, we officially finalized the new house purchase, because the last time I said we were buying a house, it fell through. So now we're packing up the house, and the best part is we're going to start purging some of the stuff we've had and get rid of.
Ooh, that's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Less
but-
there is to move, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeah, let's not move it all there and then get rid of it. Let's get rid of it before. So hanging out with some people. So some stuff I've been working on. I've been practicing on some shooting stuff. Went on another competition. Lots of fun. Definitely recommend that for people. Lock picking, very little, but I'm like, it's something I kind of put away for a little bit, because I was like, ooh, I popped the lock and left it alone. And I was like, yeah, now I can't pop that lock again. So I want to keep going with that. And
It's almost like skills are perishable or something.
Yeah, it's
Weird,
one
right?
of those weird things. And then I'm trying really hard to be a non-douchey person, which makes it very hard due to people. So that's the thing I've been working on. It's not going great, but it's something I'm trying to put into practice.
Just be you, Pierre. Don't change.
Yeah.
Problem is, people just keep pushing your buttons and keep testing your limits, right?
Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah. Okay, we're gonna stay on topic. Yeah, I'm just trying to be non-douchey, but people are making it really hard. We'll stop the conversation there.
Fair enough. Right. Well, with the not being douchey anymore, how about we move into the main topic? So, this evening we figured we'd talk about COVID 2.0, meaning more along the lines of what we would do looking back now at COVID and what happened and what we went through. Maybe doing a quick revisit, rethink, and just look back and reflect on things that we would change, things we would keep the same, and just generate a bit of a discussion that way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first thing that popped into my head was the financial aspect of the whole COVID thing, because whether it be how the government coerced people to do stuff, how people reacted to facing job loss, everything else, financial seems to be a massive aspect of the whole pandemic preparedness thing, I think, as far as I'm concerned. Simply for the fact is that, like, because a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, everybody does pretty much, like in some semblance anyways. Yeah, it's whether it be less dependence on the man or maybe having your mortgage paid off or whatever. I think I don't have all the solutions, that's for sure, but there's a certain sense of freedom that comes with being a little more financially independent, whether it be having some money set aside or even being self-employed or having passive streams of income, whatever. I think financial thing was huge this last time around, wasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely was. That was probably the number one biggest thing that I heard from a lot of people I was talking to, is the financial thing, just especially those that were either laid off, lost their jobs, or just couldn't continue working. The financial impact was just massive across the board.
Well, yeah, and I mean, especially if you're a sole income earner and you were, put out of work because of the COVID thing, or you were, if you wanted to keep your job, you had to do certain things, whatever.
Yep.
There was just a certain aspect of this whole COVID thing that really, was not a pleasant experience for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, number one, I'd say was financial.
Yeah.
And that's just, it can't be overstated. I mean, I think the wife and I are working really hard to pay off our mortgage as fast as we can. I don't think we're ready for COVID 286 at this point, but we're working as hard as we can.
Nice.
But I mean, yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Next one I had was moral issues. So now, I guess what somebody mentioned to me the other day is, like, figure out what your line in the sand is, draw it now, and figure out where you're gonna put your foot down, right? And whether it be like going off to Ottawa earlier rather than later, standing up to your boss, saying no, doing whatever. Like, I guess have it ready in your mind so you don't have to sit there with a moral dilemma. You have mind made up ahead of time, because if they start pushing the same narrative they did before and with the same tricks they used last time, it's like, where is your line in the sand, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's a fair one to reassess. I think a lot of people as well had that impact on them, where the whole morale thing just it smacked people in the face, because all of a sudden you're segregated, you're on your own, and a lot of people were willing to follow the rules and listen to what government was saying to do, and we all thought it was the right thing to do. And next thing you know, you're realizing that sitting at home by yourself, as much fun as it sounds like, try it for
that part didn't bother me. That part I was okay with.
Fair enough.
But
there were some things where I'm like, I had a meeting with my boss not that long ago, and I said, I was like, I kind of wish part of COVID came back. So I'm like, the company I work with, there were, huge mandates, shutdowns, this, that. And I'm like, I would go places and fix equipment. And I'm like, I wouldn't have to go inside and interact with the peoples. So I would do what I have to do. And then I'd call them, be like, I'm outside. I fixed it. It's good. Do you need anything? And they would be like, no, but I'm going to come out and chat with you for a minute or two. I said, okay. But other than that, like, people left me alone. So then I also go to like people's sites, their house, their job site, whatever, to fix the stuff. And everybody was all scared. So I didn't have like a guy breathing down my neck telling me how to do my job, even though this guy couldn't figure out how to start the piece of, the equipment. So I'm like, I want that to come back, but I don't want the rest of the stuff to come back.
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess it also boils down to is if your boss asks you to do something you're not comfortable with too, it's like you have to sit there and decide whether or not you're going to do it ahead of time, so you're not kind of put on the spot, I guess, or anything else.
I'm not too worried about telling my boss what I think.
Yeah, no, I imagine that's probably not a problem at all. But
hopefully it doesn't bite me more than it has previously, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's the only thing. Like, the morals thing is just like, I had a few hard lines, and thankfully I was able to stand by those few hard lines, and I don't regret, and I don't do anything. I'm very pleased that we, as a family, we all decided to stand on that line, including the daughter, even though she's way above the age that she could do anything. Like, we'd have a conversation, we'd just be like, look, this is all the information we have, not so much leaning it more towards our thing, but just be like, this is the information about, the pandemic and the COVIDs. Like, this is a thing, she was worried. Like, hey, everybody's talking about this. And I'll be like, so we broke it down as best as we could to explain it without really not taking the bullshit that everybody has been informed of, and just being like, this is what it is, like, hey, we got invited to go over to, your grandparents' place, do you want to go? Are you okay with it? Nobody's sick. And she was like, well, I think I'll be good, so that morals thing, like, we need to bring back that. In that morals is just like having, conversations that are obviously age appropriate, but maybe starting to include, the little people in your house that your decisions and your statements will have effect on. And I mean, yes, fine, you don't have that conversation, and if they're little, kids that are assholes, like, fine, drop the hammer and say, I'm the adult and let's do this. But like, trying to have that open dialect with kids at a younger age will hopefully get them to be, adults that ask questions and hopefully inform themselves and don't necessarily trust everything, but like want to decide to like go do some research for themselves. I think that's a giant thing. We started doing that, and I'm like, now we've always done it, but I'm like, we kind of did a lot more with the COVIDs, right? Like, well, there's a person I haven't met before at the grocery store. Like, what do I do? And I was like, we're okay. And like, just having that morals of just like, look, this is where for example, me and your mother stand. This is the information you have. Do you have questions? And try and answer as best honestly without being biased as best as possible. And like, just bringing back that communication between, kids and parents, and bringing back the family thing together is a strong thing we tried to work on and are hopefully going to keep going forward with. Because
I like it.
Yeah, right. Like she's in 6th grade. She's turning 11. So I'm like, your brain works. So I'm like, well, what do you think about this, right? Like, I'm not saying your brain works properly for this specific scenario we're talking about, but like, but you got to figure out how to explain stuff so that they kind of understand a little bit better than everyone's gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, they're
I like
little, they're
it.
not stupid, right? So they're able
Yep.
to ask decent questions, and they'll
Yeah.
soak in what you tell them too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
They comprehend a lot more than you realize.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm learning that very quickly.
Yeah.
Did they start
So,
repeating words, Eric?
Oh yeah, that's happening. Yep.
Excellent. So before we get going again on some more stuff, Kyle's got a great plan for financial independence there next time around.
Okay, who's clicking it again?
Okay, I'm going to
You
click
click
it once more. There we
You
go.
click it. There we
Anyways, he says he's going to buy a crap ton of bidets and resell them when the TP runs out again. That's his financial plan. So yeah,
I like it.
fantastic idea, because I'm sure that there's going to be at least one more toilet paper joke before today's over.
go. At least.
Yeah. So from my perspective, what would I do differently for my preps? Water, the most boring of all prep. During the winter, we never have a problem when we have like cubic meters of it coming down. Summer, we have a dry season that's 6 months long. So if there is an extended power outage because of some catastrophic like cordyceps kind of virus or COVID, whatever, yeah, we're obviously going to have a problem with water in summertime, and the generator won't last forever. So I think water storage outside, not even so much filtration, because I have Sawyer minis. I don't have life straws, but so yeah, water filtration not an issue, but the water storage is big. So the wife and I were talking, we got to get some sort of massive, big storage tub outside that we're gonna kind of keep full with rainwater anyway.
So are you talking more water storage for animals, feed, gardens or whatever, or for personal consumption? Or
yes, yes, for everything. So
no, but right, okay.
Yeah, because I mean we're down to like just chickens and an alpaca now, right? We've got, actually, so I didn't even mention that we lost one or more alpacas, so we're down to one. But yeah, so we basically just got chickens to take care of. So the water usage is very minimal, and it's basically just the two of us now on the acreage. So yeah, it won't be too bad. So it's just one a big 1,000 gallon special or whatever to keep things topped up will be more than plenty, I would think, just for preparedness purposes. And then the other thing I learned though during the last pandemic is, because everybody's leaving the cities and flocking towards the countryside, stay on the acreage, or at least stay out of town, because that seems to be the place to be, as everybody discovered.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, that's pretty much my if I could do it all over again.
Keep the idiots off your property.
Yeah.
Well, and there was, like I said, I remember early on in the pandemic, we had that guy skulking around the front of the property there when panic mode was, or the toilet paper panic was on, basically, and that's when the guard dog really came in handy too, because he was scaring off the odd skulker, which was very interesting, because we don't normally have people on the road like that, and yeah, that was very interesting.
And even if he doesn't scare him off, at least he tells you prior to the guy coming up on your window, on your door.
Oh yeah, so he's got a 100-yard dash between the fence and the house. He's got to make it past the dog. So it'd be very interesting, uphill no less.
Oh, yeah. For myself, I'm along the same lines. The financial aspect really hit me. Job wise for me, I didn't feel like it was going to disappear anytime soon. It was pretty solid that way. Worked all the way through it. But seeing other people and friends go through that kind of hardship where they did lose jobs or were temporarily laid off or just weren't working for a period of time because they couldn't, because their companies were closed. That hit me pretty good, because I've admittedly ignored kind of the financial preparedness side of things, because as far as I'm concerned, the job that I do is not going anywhere quick. It's going to be around for as long as I figure I'm going to need it. But seeing how quickly that can change, that's definitely something I've got to focus on and look back on and say, you know what, I got to smarten up with that. Yeah, that was a big eye opener to see that happen to people around me. Beyond that, I was pretty happy with everything else we had. Plan wise, things worked out. We had extra stock of things. We had everything ready to go for times that we were just sitting around the house. So the financial thing is huge. Big opener for me.
I think it was for a lot of people, actually, as you already said it, that, a whole lot of people, it was like, you know what, get your shot or We're going to
Yeah.
take away your ability to feed your family and put a roof over your head and send your kids to college and the whole, you know,
Mhm. Yep.
on top of the fact that, as you say, and I mean, and I feel bad, like the low income people, like your waiters and waitresses at a restaurant. Oh, you can't go into a restaurant with 5 people, but hey, go to Costco with 1,000 people. No problem there. COVID doesn't go to Costco, so it just really hit a lot of people really hard.
Well, a friend of mine put it, well, maybe a little on the nose, but here we go. So he says, if I was Harvey Weinstein and I said, take this prick or you're never going to work in the industry again, I'd go to jail. But if I was your boss, I can say the exact same sentence, and it's totally cool.
Yeah, but
It's amazing how society reacted.
They're different kind of pokes.
Yep.
But the sentiment's still there because they're basically
the end result is still the same.
Yeah, but not only that,
different.
but it's just like, you know, it's coercion, no matter how you slice it, right? So
yeah,
it's
100%. I was very fortunate for that there was none of that coercion for where I work, because I mean, I'm fairly financially stable. My job's good. My job is probably not going anywhere for a long time and all that, but if there was that hard line in the sand that I put forward, would that have been the same? I don't know. But yeah, it's just one of those crazy things where, we've all taken for granted, like, oh, I need sour cream, hop in the car, drive a few minutes down the road, 20 minutes down the road, go get it. And like that might not be an option if one thing had changed for many of us. It can be scary.
Yep.
So for me, at least, I was kind of more or less prepared. As Eric mentioned, I would have had more cash on hand so that if something would have happened, I wasn't as reliant on an ATM or a bank. I would have a better, and as I'm also working on that, I've got the pressure canner and I'm working on stuff to have a better non-perishable food supply. So I'm not worried about, I mean, if it hits really, really bad and, say your hydro company is all of a sudden down 60 or 70% of their people, is there a potential that something along that line could happen? Absolutely. I've also got a small, for me, I mean, just being me in the house, an aero garden, and that I can have greens and stuff growing all year round. So not that I'm scared to go to the store, because I'm not that I'm worried about going to the store, because I'm not. But again, if the store doesn't have stuff because, maybe trucks can't get across the border anymore, depending on how bad it is, or, the supply chain crumbles, you're not going to be able to get some stuff. So that's just kind of the thing I've got. And a better fuel stock supply. Make sure that which again, I've already worked on this stuff. 90% of what I'm saying I needed to do, I've already done, but they were things that I noticed that I needed to put a bit more attention to.
And thinking of that now, the one thing that did actually catch us off guard, outside of the financial, just seeing how that kind of affected people, infant formula. That one got us pretty bad. We didn't see that one coming.
No.
And all of a sudden,
the shortage actually end? Like, because it was going on for quite a while.
It's still kind of lingering, but a lot of the prices for formula have just shot up now as well. So it's what used to cost us about $25, $26 for a thing of formula at Costco is now about $37. So it's gone up quite a bit, but we've been good the last couple of months. It's been back and fully stocked.
More available now.
Right. Yes, it is. But that really caught us off guard.
And actually,
we were not ready for that.
I was thinking actual stuff to buy, like not toilet paper, but large rifle primers. That seems to be an ongoing thing still, right?
Yep.
And like everybody's like willing to sell their mother for like 100 count of large rifle primers, and I think if you can find them, they're like $50-$60 for 100, which is like 10 times normal price.
It's like you could get 1,000 for them prior to this for
Yeah.
maybe a few bucks more, but or give or take, right? Like depending which ones you were buying, but like yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like some stuff. Only thing I would have changed a little bit better is so now that we're getting our own place, not so much the renting and the landlord being douchey about growing a garden. Definitely have a little bit better supplies, at least bare minimum of what we eat. We all saw lettuce go crazy. It was what, like $6 for a head of lettuce because there was a shortage, and it's like, well, I don't like edit lettuce every day, but I'm like, it is part of our diets that we do eat often enough. So just kind of trying to see what we can avoid getting at the store, and what can we figure out how to make ourselves without turning our entire backyard into a garden. Like, we have dogs, so I'm like, I don't really want them going to piss on the lettuce that we want for supper. So trying to find that
Fair
happy
enough.
medium of like, what would be our best bet to be able to grow and sustain ourselves, and what are we willing to part ways with for a few weeks if this happens again. Other than the fresh veggie stuff, I mean, we normally always stock up on snacks. Something goes on sale, we've got canned stuff, which we're not a fan of, but I'm like, we got if we need to. We normally always have ground beef, chicken, steaks, like all the stuff we normally eat. We always tend to always have in the freezer that we would be okay for a little bit. I would prefer to have more, but I would need more financials for it. And water, we've been good. We've always stayed on top of. We got a Berkey, and we got, like, I don't know, 15 5-gallon jugs. We siphon through. We always have it full. We've always got lots of water. I would definitely stack more brass and lead way prior to the prices we pay for brass and lead now. But that's for a different conversation.
Precious metals are precious metals, right? I mean,
but I mean, other than that, I mean, we kind of saw this coming down the pipeline, and it was financially feasible for us to go out and spend $1,000 to $3,000 on some extras. Hey, we kind of see, I want to say prior to it being called a pandemic in Canada, we did, kind of see it coming down the pipeline, and we were like, we just got a little bit of extra money, so we kind of did that like extra Costco run before everything skyrocketed. So as much as I don't want to say keep an eye on the news, but like just being aware of what's going down, coming down the pipelines from things, being extra vigilant on some things. And I mean, how much did some things cost during the pandemic just due to like a lack of availability? There's like, cucumbers, lettuce. There were a few things that were just like, I was like, I'm not paying this, right? So like knowing that coming down the pipeline, maybe just being extra vigilant on, I don't want to say media or news itself, but just kind of being aware of, for example, we're talking about something that's going on in India. Well, technically that doesn't really affect us now. But what about 3 months from now? Is it somehow going to show up on a plane, even though, the person did this and that, and they did checked all the boxes to be able to come here, and now it's a thing, and now we're all going through the same thing, but worse because everything costs more and the price is going to go up on everything again. So, just being extra vigilant on the best we can do to be safe in our own house, and still kind of live the normal life, have those treats for ourselves, and regular meals. So that's what we're gonna pack hard on.
Are you saying preppers should do prepper things? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's amazing.
Am I hearing that correctly on a prepper podcast?
Well, I mean, the thing in India,
I don't know why we wasted 39 minutes. I mean, we could end this fucking show like 15, like a half hour ago. Just be like, don't. So I stand by my statement about don't be a douche person, and just plan for yourself. I mean, take into consideration friends, family. But if friends, family think you're the guy with the tinfoil hat, I am not going to be angry if you decide to close the door on them when all this happens. And you're like, I prepared for myself, not for you. You thought I was crazy. Now you need to figure this out. And when you come back with stuff and realize that I wasn't crazy, then we can talk. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, I mean, but same token too, like you mentioned, the thing in India not being an issue now. I mean, but we're especially this day and age where like one kid on a gap year doing is their life searching trip away from them bringing it back to Canada. So I mean,
Right.
you can't deny a Canadian citizen coming back in, right? So
Yeah, and I mean, like we're also at that weird time of year where like it's crazy cold at night. Or I mean, we'll say crazy cold because we're still climatizing to, you know, what regular winter or fall weather will be. But I mean, what was it this week? Like tonight, it's fairly chilly over. I need to put a sweater on outside. But like 2 weeks ago, it was 40 degrees outside.
Yep.
By 9 o'clock in the morning. But at night it's 12. So I'm like, everybody's kind of, you know, need to get that adjustment. Go to work with a sweater every morning, but you leave the sweater in the truck. So like at the end of the week, you got like 9 sweaters in your truck and you can't find anything. So like everybody kind of gets that sniffle and that like itch in the throat and that little bit of a cough. And now with all these news articles coming out, everybody's thinking like, oh my God, do I have what India has? So it's like, we're slowly getting back to that where I'm just like, let's just live life. If you're worried about it, okay, stay home, hang out with the family, don't have friends over. But like, it shouldn't be a mass, you know, crazy, absurd thing. But yeah, I mean, even before everything I said, I'd stack way more lead and brass. And you know, those little pipes with 2 end caps that you can. No, sorry.
no,
That's Monday. That's Monday.
That's plumbing supplies. You can stockpile plumbing.
Yeah, just plumbing because I don't want the plumber to come in my house and maybe that's
That's where you're going with that. Got it.
Yeah.
That's what we all thought.
Yeah, 100%.
Terry, what do you got?
Well, you know, I'd have bought more toilet paper. If I'd have known this was coming up out front, I'd have bought more toilet paper. Because we actually had people come to us for toilet paper.
Awesome.
And we had some because we were pretty squared away when it come to stuff. Like we didn't really need anything. So if the grocery stores, you know, we didn't have to go out. We were pretty okay that way. But having said that, you know, and having written a book series on pandemics, well, just watching this play out was quite an amazing thing for me. It was, you know, and just how I wrote it and how it played out. But
did you write people as stupid as people were?
Oh yeah, I think so. But for me, like I was kind of on board this right off the bat. You know, I couldn't imagine for the life of me that the government's going to be that. I knew they're bad, but I didn't think they're that bad. You know, I got 2 shots of the stupid vaccine. Will I get any more? No, but I trusted them up front, and then when things started happening, I'm going to say, I guess the truckers' protest was the turning point for me. When I started seeing how that was unfolding and all this stuff going on there, I thought, well, there's something wrong here now. You know, that was a big change for me.
Or when they said, no, you need a third.
Oh,
like, I already got 2. Like, why do I need a third? And
things started to get interesting there. You know, so hindsight being 2020, like, yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, even in your books, like you think about how fast a true, like, deadly, quote unquote, pandemic will travel across the land, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after the first few weeks, when Buddy and I were doing some math using like kind of like an what do you call it, exponential growth, and it just wasn't following that whole hockey stick shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, this isn't spreading like as bad as it sounds like in the media. You know what I mean? Like, so from a math perspective. And so one thing I learned too is that like if you actually look at the numbers rationally, not just like the fact that they're increasing, but how fast they're increasing,
Mhm.
it's that was a big eye opener too. Like, cause like in most pandemic books, you see it kind of go from almost nothing to ridiculous in a very short period, right?
Mhm.
Whereas here, it was such a slow thing, and every single number counted in the media, right?
Oh yeah, it was unreal. And the other thing I think is lost here now is after all this fiasco that's played out now, the governments, pharmaceutical companies, news agencies, the World Health Organization, like if a real pandemic was to happen, who the hell's going to believe them? Well, there are a lot of people will, but still, there's a lot of people that are not going to believe them, and that could be a bad thing.
Could
you
be.
know? If a real serious one did happen, and people are going to they've lost their trust of a lot of people. So I think that was a bad thing.
Just on a side note, if anybody's curious about Terry's book, I've put a link to Amazon in the live chat, so go check it out.
Oh, you're a good man, Eric. Thank you.
Perfect, because I'm very more intrigued to read these books, even though I despise reading. But so someone that has written 3 books, right?
Yeah,
yeah, three books about pandemic and everything. So you have always written about society collapsing, right?
Yes.
Like that lone man that built a bunker in his backyard. Prior to the COVIDs, did you ever think that all this could have happened due to, just like you said, government, pharmaceutical company, agencies, WHO, all these people that you would think would be there to help you? Did you ever think of right? Because that's not a thing that you would see in any movie or any book you would read, right? It's always society collapsed, everybody's a zombie except for this one man and his dog.
No,
right?
I didn't see that coming at all. Like way I wrote the story was the government's incompetent. Yes, I think everybody can agree with that. They didn't get a handle on things. That they're always trying to cover each other's ass. Nobody wants to take responsibility, that type of thing. But the depth of deception and corruption and crookedness, I never imagined.
Do I have a book for you?
So, you do you? I'm probably working on that right now because I learned a lot through this thing. And believe me, the government gives me lots to write on. Lots to write on.
Yeah. But okay. Curious.
I like Phil in the live chat is asking, at the beginning of the pandemic, did anyone else watch Contagion to get survival tips?
I had actually literally just watched it not even a few weeks before the news story broke, and I was like, oh, this is like terrifyingly accurate. I did watch Utopia too, the TV series. Which
that was a weird one.
That was a weird one, but then that one little scene where he starts talking about these sneaking vaccinations into the populace, I was like, oh, this is just killing me right now. This is not helping.
I went old school. I just watched Outbreak with the monkey.
Well, yeah. Still not bad, but not great. Anyway, but Contagion was like eerily accurate though too, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't think bat soup is going to be an issue this time.
No. I've always watched a few, watched a few movies and read a few books on pandemics. So I always figured that was the most likely thing that's going to bring society down was a pandemic of some kind. I never really thought about government collapse that much until now, and everything else going for a dump. And I just say this last couple of years has been pretty darn eye opening. Yeah.
Oh, another crazy thing I would definitely change was when we had the election in there. It would make sure more people don't vote liberal.
Yeah.
I think that would have changed the back half of the COVID.
If more people could control that,
more people would just went out.
Let's go back. What could you do better?
Yeah, get out and vote.
I mean, it's just you're voting liberal. No, we're canceling because of the COVIDs. Doesn't matter how many masks you put on, they probably would have stayed home. Right?
What I'm shocked with, though, is that how, and I'm not looking for any particular political party because I hate them all equally, but I'm just saying, it's amazing how a government can turn around and run a country with 26% of the vote. Doesn't matter which government forms it.
And claim that they have the consent of the government.
And they claim they have a mandate from the population.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm not just poking fun.
That's a whole different side of it, but I'm just So
So truly every vote
mean-
does count, and except for the blatantly like leaning one side ridings, like Alberta and Saskatchewan go all blue. I get that, but like in those swing ridings where votes are lost and won by tens or hundreds, I think there's 13 ridings I think last election that went with less than 1,000 votes difference,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and it was just crazy, and some of them were like down to the teens, like just a few votes
Wow.
difference, and which can make a huge difference in the outcome. So I think a lot of people that were afraid to vote that
Yeah.
did show up this last time. It was
Yeah.
like, I think you got to
Yeah.
either cowboy up or at least vote by mail or do something next time. Like just
Mhm.
anyway.
Right. And I mean, like, and I think, trust me, this is gonna sound weird coming from me, but like one of the things is I'm like, you kind of need to be neighborly,
Mhm.
as in like just check up on your neighbor. So like where we live currently right now, right, we're renting and there's two elderly people next to us, and I was like, look, like I'm around a bunch of grocery stores, drugstores, whatever, for work. Do you guys need anything? That going back to being, even if you live in the city, like trying to make your own little little town of people that watch each other, help each other out. I think, unfortunately, I think it was lost during the COVIDs because you had people calling on their neighbor because there was like 4 vehicles in their driveway instead of 3.
Mhm.
But
Right.
I just think that we need to go back to like, I'm not saying I want to have a beer with you every night and have suppers every night, but like you need something, you come knock on my door,
Mhm.
be a nice person, and I
Yeah.
will do the same, right? Like, hey, I need a cup of sugar or a cup of coffee or whatever, and you do
Or
the
both.
same. Yeah, right. Exactly. So like, so I think we need to figure out how to bring that back way more.
Almost like a group of mutual assistance type of thing. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like a
But-
general sense of community.
Yeah, but I'm not even saying like, hey, you need to stock more food, but just like not being the douchebag neighbor that is there if you need something, but still does his thing. Like it's more of an acquaintance, sorry, more than like someone you depend on for certain things. Like just
I don't
You
know
know-
if I like this new, kinder, gentler Pierre.
no, I'm not like I said, I'm just saying that's a thing. I'm not saying I want to meet all my neighbors. But if I need something small and I can't get to the store, I'm okay with knocking on your door, being like, hey, it's Pierre from across the street. Would you happen to have a cup of sugar I can borrow? And then I will bring them back sugar. Right?
yeah,
Fair enough.
actually,
But just having that, we all live close. So whatever, if it's affecting one person, it's probably affecting all of us.
Yeah.
So like, let's just be, that support team for ourselves. I'm not saying I'm going to invite you over and give you steak suppers or, pasta nights, or we'll have Taco Tuesday every Tuesday. But it's just one of those small things where it's just like, if you need something, yes, 100%, knock on my door. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a douchebag. Be nice, be respectful. And if the opportunity ever, or not even the opportunity, but if ever it comes back, like, you also need to pay that back, or don't ever knock on my door again.
yeah, I think that it depends on where you live. I don't think it probably happened much in the cities, but especially in the country here, it was almost an organic happening. Like whether it be the like even Joan mentions the eggs thing. Like that was definitely a thing with us. Like even now, just today, our neighbor brought over excess produce today. It's more than you can handle, and we
Yeah.
supply them with eggs and everything else. It works out, and it definitely actually increased, I think, a bit during the pandemic, which was good. So
Yeah.
that's something I definitely wouldn't change, and it's something I would definitely try and foster more.
And it's not a thing where I'm like, you got to talk to them more. You got to have suppers. You got to have like those weird hangouts and do the talking like people do. But it's just one of those things where it's just like, hey, look, you've got this, and I can help you take care of that excess, and I have this, and you can take care of that excess. So it's like just a mutual scratch my back, I will scratch your back. But I'm not saying you got to make more friends, but it's just trying not to be a douche and them not be the same to you, right? Like that
Yep.
really needs to come back, in my opinion. and
Yeah.
it's very hard and weird because like now we're moving somewhere where I know nobody, where I'm like I want to start vacuuming my laneway once a week so that people leave me alone because they think I'm crazy.
Okay. I was going to give you a couple seconds to explain that before I jumped on
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna say vacuuming your lawn, whatever. I mean,
No, the
do what you gotta
laneway,
do.
not even the lawn. No, you
Yeah.
vacuum the laneway, so people are just like, all right, well, we just don't talk to that guy. They just get left alone, right?
There's a lot to be said for tidy whities when you're mowing the
Mhm.
lawn too. You know, it's just saying.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Really
one
didn't
of
need that
those things.
visual, but now it's here.
Yeah. You should see me without pants. It's even better.
Wait, you're wearing pants?
No, but I haven't gotten up yet, and you haven't seen.
You've clearly done this pandemic thing wrong if you're wearing pants still.
Yeah, but
Awesome.
right, and like I said, it's gonna be really weird for out of all the panelists, me say, hey, build that community. And I'm not saying build that
Yeah.
community where you have, we have Taco Tuesdays at John's house, and then we have, Fish Fridays at Bob's house. Like, not that, but just like a thing where, like, you can be respectful and come over and just be like, hey, I don't want to go to the store because it's crazy late, or I can't for the next few days due to paychecks, this, that, your cars are getting fixed. Like, can I borrow a little bit of coffee to put my coffee maker for the next 2 days? And then you've always got something in stock that person may need, but just that mutual thing compared to like your neighbor backstabbing you because you've got 4 people in your house instead of 3. Like that really needs to come back. And as much as like handing out baked goods to neighbors and doing the people's thing is probably
you're just
the best
trying
way.
to prep up any new neighbors that are coming your way and make them feel warm
Yeah.
and fuzzy. I think that's where you're going with this.
But also, I mean, it can also act as a neighbor.
It's also not an invite, just to be clear. That is not an invite.
I think Dave actually sums it up quite nicely in the live chat. He says, "So what you're saying is be nice, but not friendly."
Mhm.
I
You're
would
bang
even
on
say
there.
be neighborly, not nice. I would say be neighborly, not friendly.
Fair enough.
Because being neighborly and being nice, I consider it to be 2 different things. But depending on your interpretation, yeah, I agree. Right? Like, you don't need to be that weird neighbor, but you can be a person that if they need to, they come over, be nice, be respectful. Hey, I need this. Do you have any of that? Yeah, absolutely. Bring it back to me when you can. Yeah. I think that's a giant thing. Everybody in general, whether you're a prepper or not, needs to figure out how they're comfortable doing that, and bring that back would be a giant boost to the next thing.
I like it. Anybody else on the panel have any last minute thoughts or things they want to toss in, or things that we haven't touched on yet that they would do differently? Should we maybe run into COVID 2.0?
2.86.
2.86. Yes. Well, we're probably going to run into that one. So,
other than reading my stuff, read 1984 and study the history of 1930s Germany, and then be prepared.
I like it. Definitely, if you have not read Terry's books yet, check out the link in the live chat and give them a read. They're pre-COVID written, so.
But 1984 is important.
It is. Yep, that's a good one too.
It's now banned. It's banned in most school libraries. So that means you should really read it.
In Ontario, it seems to be that's the way things are going, doesn't it?
Yep.
As soon as something's banned, you know it's good.
They don't have to burn books anymore. You just digitally erase them. So anyway,
awesome. Well, with that, shall we move into the podcast challenge?
Yes, sir. So we should. I'll put it politely. Fix yourself. Which means fix what you've been putting off, at least one item. So that means whether it be a prep item or a personal preparedness item, going by what affected you the most, how would you mitigate it? And then if you can figure that out, please do so. Let us know what you changed.
Awesome. All right, and Jeff, you've got a weather blurb.
I do. So as I mentioned in the news area, Hurricane Lee made landfall in the Maritimes. Wind gusts of around 115 to 120 were reported. At the peak, around 230,000 customers were without power in Nova Scotia. I believe it's down under 20,000 now. There was no, thank goodness, there was no major infrastructure damage reported. No reports of missing people, serious injuries, or deaths. Halifax, Truro, New Glasgow, the western part of the province, which includes Annapolis Valley, Digby, Yarmouth, that area. They were hit the hardest. Obviously, that's where the leading edge of the storm was. You don't get it so bad in the eye; it's the leading edge. A former panelist who lives in Halifax said that a buoy in the Halifax harbor registered a 36-foot swell. So that's pretty significant, obviously. And if that comes ashore, then I mean you're into some major damage. Tropical storm Nigel has formed in the Atlantic, but it does not appear at this time that it's going to be a threat to land. It's just going to be a fish storm. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll update Discord if things change, but right now it's not something that I'm hedging a concern on.
But I mean, with the name Nigel, it just sounds like it's gonna drink tea and insult your mom.
Well done. We've got a deal of the week, Ian.
Yes, everyone, we should pour one out for Canadian Tactical Cowboy Supply, purveyor of everything AR-15 and tactical, a victim of current political landscape. They have an awesome online store. They always have. Maybe didn't agree with everything they did, but anyways, they're doing 30% off of the entire store as they're closing out. So till the end of the month, you have 30% off, which is a pretty skookum deal, as they say out west here.
Yeah.
So link will go in the show notes and the chat here momentarily. And yeah, please visit CTCS for all your boomstick needs.
Unfortunate, but a good deal nonetheless.
Yeah.
Quick shout out. So haven't done this yet. Totally my fault for not working this into the show. But a quick shout out to all of our Patreons. So I just want to give a shout out to Philip, Leon, Sue, Tyrell, John, Jeff, Tara, Andrew, better Andrew. No offense to the Andrew that was above Andrew there. Brad, Brian, Philip, and Tom. So appreciate all you guys helping chip in and help keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled here. It does help cover the bills. So much appreciated to everybody. And we did actually get a message from Philip in Patreon, just asking about, says, howdy CPP team. The next time you do a video on ham radio, can you cover some equipment recommendations? So for example, base stations, handhelds, and antennas. Are there different equipment requirements or for equipment in rural versus urban areas? I sent back that absolutely will build that into the next ham radio episode because those are always popular episodes. So
yeah, so
definitely happy to nerd out about that.
Yeah, so it's funny. So not too far from where I live, I've driven by his property many times. This guy's got like 6-7 antennas. Like Eric, you've seen that pin drop where you were like, I want to meet this guy, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
A mutual friend where we ended up bumping into him. So now he's all like, hey, you guys want to get your ham license? So we've been chit-chatting and met a few of his ham buddies and this and that. So it's definitely a thing where I'm like, I want to. I've seen his whole setup and I was like, I am so confused because it seems like so much technology. So, and I mean, I guarantee you I could go and ask him and just be like, hey, look, I want to start it off. What would be my best bang for my buck to start this off and all that? But like, getting, more people that have the stuff and, you can do the Google research and everything, definitely be good. So like, I'm on board for this in a few months from now after we get the house. Me and Mel both want to get, Brad's got the book, so I'm like, we can share the book, and then we definitely, it's something we want to do. So, where we are, okay, what would be our best bet to start off with to get, best bang for a buck and more pings than nothing and all that stuff. So, yeah,
happy to nerd out again.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to see that. That was definitely one of the cooler episodes, I will say.
We can definitely do what will it be now? Ham Radio 3.0, I think we'd be up to. We can do another live stream where we do some chatting on the air, and yeah, I'll break down kind of some more of the setup and walk people through
if you could get a second camera going because you're nerd enough to figure it out.
We're going to
can't
need
figure
some
out
more
where one
Patreons
thing-
for that. Yeah.
No, but but just show
Yeah,
off,
yeah.
okay, this is
See,
what
like
I'm
maybe
using.
Hands
this is
Radio, and you
this.
can just have the overhead view or something.
Oh, yeah, that's very
right,
techy. Yep. Mhm.
Something along those lines.
Yep.
Like, fine, we don't get to see you for the night, but just how your setup is, what you use. Hey, look, this was a crazy upgrade where you need funds for, but you can easily do it with this and that.
Yep.
Like, yeah, that would definitely be a kind of cool one, so people can at least say, like, fine, I'll do the course, but it's going to cost me $6,000 to do something, and they don't have the $6,000, but they can do the course. But if you could say, like, hey, for $1,000, you can at least get set up, and
Easy. Yep.
it's easy for someone that's like, hey,
Definitely.
I'm kind of curious about this, to spend $1,000 and realize they don't like it, compared to a crazy big investment.
I like
at least
it.
in my opinion.
I like how you've taken Philip's comment here and just completely expanded it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I will definitely do a ham radio 3.0, and we'll definitely break out some of Philip's ideas here. And if anybody else has anything they want me to demystify,
we should do a ham radio 3.86.
Ooh, there we go. Yep, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Well, with that, I'll bring episode number 215 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Please help us out. Submit a review. It does help other people find us.
And we do record these shows live on YouTube and Facebook if you have to, or if you have it. You want to really peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel Canadian Prepper Podcast and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we are going live. If you want to contact me, not responsible enough to have my own email, it's feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I am frequently on the Discord.
I am nowhere near. I don't even have the feedback thing that I could put on mine. Off the wall customizing on most socialist medias or at Gmail. Due to the recent moving, we're probably putting a pause button because most of that stuff's getting packed up. But if you are interested in something customized, whether it be t-shirt or laser engraving on almost everything, we've pretty much tried everything. We could probably work it in once we get the new place, so there might be a small delay unless you're in need of it now. Find someone else.
Almost
or
anything.
you
Is
can find
anyone going to jump on OnlyFans comment for that, or no? No. Okay.
Not today.
All right.
for $20 you can find out. Or you can find me if I'm not here. I haven't been in a little bit, but I'm hoping to make a better effort of Sunday nights. You can find me on Monday nights, where I talk about why I critique the government and probably weirder ideas of how to solve issues than we do on Sunday nights.
Fair enough. Terry.
Well, you can reach me on the annual Preppers Meet Facebook page if you do Facebook, or my email is my name, terrylblackmore@hotmail.com.
Right on. You can reach Ian directly by emailing me at theislandretreat@gmail.com. I'm pretty much banned everywhere else. So, other than that, you can find me occasionally on Monday nights, Canadian Patriot Podcast, which is on iTunes and YouTube, live on 9 p.m. on Mondays. I am in the Gilded app for Patriot Podcast, which I think is the only place left I'm allowed. Email us if you want an invite, and there you can find us. For now, I haven't been banned yet.
Yeah, that's the key word there. Yep.
They can find me discussing why government waste in society has me aiming to prep even harder for next time.
All right. Please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.